It is my true privilege to recognize three extraordinary mound builders, exemplary mound builders, who've dedicated their careers to the care and well-being of patients and to the welfare and conservation of animals. Collectively, their work has touched the lives of so many. They are truly servant leaders, each with a clear calling. Indeed, their work as leaders has strengthened organizations and institutions. They have inspired us through their dedication to learning more and helping more. We are incredibly grateful for the ways in which they represent Southwestern College through patient-centered care, research, and conservation. For each of our inductees, Southwestern provided a foundation through faculty, staff, and community members that they have continued to build on in important ways, in ways that make all of us so proud. This evening, we honor their hard work and commitment to science and to service. Our first inductee this evening is Dr. Robert David Brooks, and he is not here with us, but we would like to go through his bio. He is board certified in family practice and osteopathic manipulative medicine. He graduated from Southwestern College in 1960 with a bachelor's of science in chemistry and mathematics. After a semester at the University of Kansas doing graduate studies, David was accepted into A.T. Still University of Health Sciences in Kirksville, Missouri, where he completed medical school, finishing 15th out of 110 students. After completing his medical internship in 1966, Dr. Brooks entered into private practice with Dr. Charles Lyon in Ypsilanti, Michigan, where they remained in partnership for 55 years. Dr. Brooks and his wife Peggy live in Ann Arbor, Michigan, where they are enjoying their retirement. They have 4 children, 11 grandchildren, and 1 great-grandson. So Dr. Brooks was actually supposed to be inducted in 2019, and then he couldn't make it, and he was going to be inducted at the same time as his brother, Michael. And so we put that off till this year. And then at that time, he was going to be able to travel to be here. But with COVID and different things, he wasn't able to be here. But he did send a letter that he asked that I read on his behalf. And so with your permission, I will go ahead and share that with you guys. So he says, I was born in Wichita, Kansas on October 30th, 1938. After living briefly in Topeka, Winfield, and Wellington, Kansas, my mother left my father and moved her 4 kids from Wellington to Lyons, Kansas, to live with her parents. My mother had had a mastectomy for breast cancer in Wellington prior to moving to Lyons, and my father was hospitalized for treatment of alcoholism. When we moved, my sister Marilyn was in the 6th grade, I was in the 3rd grade, my brother Mike was in the 1st grade, and my youngest brother Robin was a year old. We all blended into school well. Within a year, my mother got a job teaching in a country school and taught piano lessons each evening and on weekends. We bought a home a block away from my grandparents. I liked the school and made friends easily. I loved all sports. Some things don't change. A lot of our students love all sports, especially basketball. Early in my basketball career, I was small in height and didn't hit 100 pounds until high school. As a high school senior, all of us on the varsity team reached greater than 6 feet tall. Yeah. In my senior year, we won the championship in football, and we won the league basketball championship and made it to the regional finals with a record of 19 wins and 3 losses. I was accepted at Southwestern College in Winfield, Kansas, and planned to room with Bob Plamer in Broadhurst Hall, where some people still live. Yeah. I arrived with $300 in my pocket and was told there was no basketball scholarships available. In December, during the first half of our season, during the last home game, I was notified by the dean that a basketball scholarship as well as a chemistry scholarship was available. I chose the basketball scholarship. At the end of my sophomore year, 2 friends at Southwestern approached me about working summers for a company traveling around the country selling china, crystal, cookware, and silver to single working girls. I decided to try it. I bought a 1951 Mercury and traveled through 25 or more states during the summers. I worked hard, traveling over 20,000 miles, and met some nice people and learned a lot. I was the #1 salesman for 6 years. I also worked as a campus mailman for 4 years. I was a chemistry and mathematics major. My plan was to transfer to Kansas University and get a chemical engineering degree and possibly work in the oil business. But I had a change of mind and decided to pursue a medical degree. I only needed 2 biology courses and the completion of math courses to finish my double major. So I graduated from Southwestern with a major in chemistry and mathematics and went to KU for a semester as a graduate student. I was eventually accepted at A.T. Still University in Kirksville, Missouri in 1961, where I completed medical school. I completed my medical internship in 1966 and entered into private practice in 1967 as a partner with Dr. Charles Lyon, and we remained in partnership for 55 years. I was on faculty at Michigan State University and the staff at Bayer Hospital in Ypsilanti, Michigan for many years. Dr. Lyon and I were among the first to have physician assistants working in our family practice. Our first physician assistant, Douglas Montgomery, is actually the son of the founder of the physician assistant program. Now, there are PAs in almost every office in the country. In addition to being accepted into medical school in 1961, I also married Peggy Schuyler. We moved to Kirksville, Missouri 2 weeks after our wedding. Peggy had her credits from Northwest Missouri State, which is now Truman State, transferred back to Southwestern, and subsequently graduated with my brother Michael from Southwestern in 1962. Peggy and I have 4 children, all with college degrees, 11 grandchildren, and 1 great-grandson. We are currently in our home of 50 years in Ann Arbor and enjoying retirement. So, congratulations, Dr. Brooks. Our second inductee this evening is Dr. Steve Short. Dr. Steve Short grew up in western Kansas. He is a 1978 alum, graduating cum laude with majors in both biology and chemistry, while also earning a minor in sociology. He also remained busy as a student, participating in several extracurricular activities, and I didn't discover what all those were.
Oh, well, I'll talk about it.
Okay, good, then I won't worry about it. After graduating, he attended A.T. Still University College of Osteopathic Medicine in Kirksville, Missouri. He spent his internship in Flint, Michigan, and completed his residency in 1987 in Wichita, Kansas at the KU Medical Center. He then completed mission work in Bolivia. He worked as an internal medicine specialist at the Indian Health Services in Tahlequah, Oklahoma until 1991. He also completed a pulmonary research fellowship for the Centers for Disease Control from 1991 to 1995. Since then, he has served as a board-certified pulmonologist with expertise in critical care and internal medicine. Dr. Short continues his private practice in Manhattan, Kansas, as a pulmonologist with special emphasis in critical care and sleep medicine. Additionally, his office serves multiple other clinics in north central and western Kansas. Most recently, during the early stages of the COVID-19 pandemic, Dr. Short traveled to New York City to provide critical care at one of the largest COVID-19 hospitals. With that, I present you Dr. Short.
This past week, I was honored during a ceremony at Fort Riley. The Fort Riley base had a Big Red 1 honoring individuals in our nation who have given back. It was a year of honor. I was one of the honorees highlighting virtue. This was a previous ceremony over the year that were highlighting other individuals for valor and victory. At the end of this day of celebration, there was a social, a time for interaction with the soldiers and local community members. One of the local community members asked me and another honoree, "How do you obtain and learn virtue?" As I prepared my thoughts for this evening, I reflect on my pride being a legacy member of Southwestern. the mound builders. That name to me implies virtue. Builders of virtue. All my aunts, my uncles, all my siblings spouses, all went to Southwestern. My father bought a cabin in 1958 in Colorado, a grouping of various cabins on the side of a mountain they call Methodist Mountain. All the cabins are owned by former Methodist preachers or their parishioners, and all the ministers and all the children went to Southwestern. The Matteys, the Settles, the Kesslers, the Helmers, the Shorts. I drove up today, saw Helmer Field. Hey, I know that guy. When I attended college here, my daily life was immersed at Grace United Methodist, a cappella choir, cheerleading. Do men still do that here?
Yes.
Oh, cool. And I worked in Max Thompson's fish lab, cleaning all the fish tanks, watering all the plants in the greenhouse, and running around the county with various taxidermy traps. As a group of us would drive, we would stop at any roadkill on the road, and we would literally run to claim that dead animal for our taxidermy mammal class. Do you guys still do that?
I did that. No.
We would get up early before the sunrise to lower the nets in the fields so we could catch the birds and band their legs and record the previous birds that were already banded, learning their genus and species, then seeing God's beauty in color in the early morning crisp air. Who did the banding? Ooh, this is good. I spent hours at Mossman Hall, which I found out tonight is not the science hall anymore. It breaks my heart. We would go over anatomical identification of which bone, which ligament, and which muscle group were attached where. My senior year in college, I asked for various volunteers for a summer camp I was in charge of to staff with my fellow students over the summer vacation at Camp Horizon. And I got a willing and capable crew of faith-led men and women, all fellow mound builders. All of them answering the call, no question asked. They were willing leaders, saying yes, virtue, addictive. As a senior class president, I had the honor of placing our class rock on the mound. You still do that? All right. A rock I thought hard about. What am I going to use? What would be a good rock to represent my class? Over the summer, finding a large conglomerate rock from Colorado. Round, very heavy. It would then eventually roll around in the back of my 1968 Mustang for the coming summer months. At each curve, it would roll across my trunk and pound the side panel. Then the next curve, it would roll across my trunk to the other side panel. By the end of the summer, I had a car trunk and side panels that looked like they had the mumps. But when I presented that rock, I highlighted that rock as a mixture of color, of individual and diverse representations that were molded and unified through the forces of stress, nature, and God's healing beauty, representing our class. Each individual with a contribution to the collective, inseparable, unified, individually unique. mound builders, virtue builders. My getting the award this last week was for saying yes to a call that changed my life, a call my children were anxious and were fearful for my life. Literally 1 week into the pandemic, I was in New York City. They were asking me not to go, but they said, "We also know you." Your need to be there, your desire to be involved, whatever the price, whatever the cost, whatever the time frame. You see, I went for 5 days. That 5 days ended up being what I call Gilligan's Island's 3-hour tour. I got stranded. The chief of medicine desperately stating, "We need you." I was in the largest COVID hospital in New York City. People dying every 5 to 10 minutes. The freezer box is full. It was the epicenter of the epicenter, and there wasn't another lung doctor. He said, "Please, we need you to stay. 5 days we can't handle. Please." I said, "How long?" "As long as we need you." I said, "Okay." Mound builders, virtue builders, going into the world, a conglomerate of various individuals, unified, saying yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Short. Congratulations, but thank you for sharing that with all of us. It was very touching. And thank you for your service.
It's my pleasure to introduce Scott Carter from the class of 1980. His story begins in a manner that should sound vaguely familiar to many of you. He started out as a high school student in a small, dusty Kansas town, Ark City, just to the south of Winfield. He stumbled onto Southwestern College as a possibility after a college recruiter put a bug in his ear. He developed a strong relationship with a gruff but caring, passionate professor who took him under his wing and sparked an interest in a particular aspect of science. In Scott's case, it was field biology and animal behavior, and the professor was Charlie Hunter. Scott took several classes with Charlie and traveled with him to the Oregon Institute of Marine Biology on 2 separate occasions. A kid from a small farm town finds our little gem of a school by chance, and a professor changes their life forever. That should sound familiar to many of you and to many of our students we have now. Nowadays, that student's hometown might be the urban neighborhoods of Dallas, the suburbs of Seattle, or the tribal reservations of Oklahoma. Regardless, Scott's journey to Southwestern College and his experiences as a student on our campus in the late 70s are no different from the story of most of our students in the natural sciences. What may feel different is what he did with those beginnings. Scott continued his education at Wichita State University, where he received an interdisciplinary master's degree in liberal arts that centered around behavioral research on spider monkeys. He worked for a time at the Sedgwick County Zoo in Wichita as a zookeeper before ultimately moving on to the Detroit Zoo, or more formally, the Detroit Zoological Society. Over the last 30 years, he's taken on more responsibilities at the Detroit Zoo, working as a mammal curator, director of conservation and animal welfare, ultimately becoming the chief life sciences officer at the zoo. His work has taken him all over the world, including field work in both Africa and South America. Scott helped found the Detroit Zoo's Center for Zoo and Aquarium Animal Welfare and Ethics group, and helps to lead the programs of science, advocacy, and training that it encompasses. He has become an important voice for animal welfare within the larger community of zoos around the world through his activism in the Association for Zoos and Aquariums. In the last 30 years, Scott has been at the forefront of a fundamental transformation in the mission of zoos all throughout the world. When Scott and I were growing up, it was common for most cities, big and small, to have some sort of zoo. And to be a zoo, you needed to have all the key charismatic animals: big cats, great apes, bears, giraffes, elephants, seals, a reptile house, and maybe even a dolphin show. It's an approach that I call the postage stamp collection strategy to zoo construction. Every zoo needed to have one of everything, regardless of their size and regardless of their resources. It often involved enclosures that more closely resembled prison cells than an animal habitat, with an emphasis on visibility to guests and guest safety. A typical visitor experience often involved watching animals engaged in repetitive behavior like pacing or self-destructive grooming that, if seen in a human, would easily lead to a diagnosis of severe mental illness and trauma. Much of this has changed, and it is due in no small part to Scott Carter and individuals like him. Modern zoos now put a premium on animal welfare, providing plenty of room for animals with natural habitats, privacy from humans, and behavioral choices. We have seen the emergence of the field of behavioral enrichment, in which a priority is placed on providing positive behavioral experiences with animals to enhance their mental state and well-being. Rather than trying to create a postage stamp collection of every animal on the standard zoo list, zoos now strategically select a subset of animals which they can fully support in a manner that maximizes their physical and mental health. Sometimes this involves making the difficult decision to downsize a zoo, letting go of animals that really cannot be supported in a humane and caring manner. In Scott's case, he was instrumental in advocating for the Detroit Zoo to release and retire its pair of elephants, Wanda and Winky, because he came to realize that the life of an elephant in Detroit, Michigan, is really just plain miserable. I got the chance to hear Scott speak to some of our students yesterday afternoon and enjoyed seeing his passion and his honesty in relating his personal journey in becoming a key advocate for zoos and the animals that live within them. Now remember, his journey started much as yours did in speaking to my current students. And you think about the legacy that he's leaving, the difference that he's made through his existence and what he's done with his education. And it might seem, well, that's not me. He's amazing. I assure you, he had the same thoughts when he graduated from Southwestern College. And yet he became amazing, and I know that is possible for all of you as well. I'm hoping that he can share more of his experiences and insights with us tonight, and I hope to get to know him a bit better. Come on up.
Congratulations. Thank you very much. This is really an honor to be inducted, especially with people like Dr. Short and all of the other inductees into this. And this is certainly something I never expected. I loved the way, when this was introduced, this was a group of people who are supporting students. And I would point out a couple of supporters here, Charlie, of course, being a critical one, but a couple of others who I know when we were in school never thought they'd see me up here. Karen, when I was a freshman taking zoology, she was, I don't remember what the title was, but she was the one who led the lab for us. And I know she has to have been, considering how I was in zoology as a freshman, she has to be somewhat in shock about this. Not an official lab instructor, but Susan got me through chemistry. So all kinds of supporters in this room, in addition, of course, to my family. I talked to the students yesterday, and it's actually a funny story, so I'm not quite sure why this is happening, but I talked to a bunch of students yesterday, including my cousin Michaela, who is here not as a natural science student. She's a senior at Southwestern this year, and after my inspiring talk yesterday, I said, Michaela, now do you want to work in zoos? And she said, no. So my talk with students may have been less successful than I originally thought. But anyway, my career in science is somewhat non-traditional, especially compared to many of the inductees in the Natural Science Hall of Fame. But the importance of a strong science background has been critical to just about everything that I've done. Going beyond science and leading programs of, we currently have a huge program of animal welfare research. Helped out with field studies in the wild. But one of the most important things that I'm doing now in my current role is advocacy. Advocacy for strong science in policy, whether it's state law, federal law, municipal law, law that serves animals, whether it's individual animals or whether it's serving species. This is supposed to be fun. And I'm going to step back. Currently kind of mortified because my wife is recording this and my kids are going to see it. So, I think it's the microphone that's doing it, so we'll step away from the mic for a minute. Anyway, my current job is, I can be successful in my job because I had a strong science beginning. And I got that strong science beginning here, much to the surprise of some of you I know still. But this was a tremendous start for me. I had the kind of personalized attention, the kind of focus that certainly I needed as a student. Charlie Hunter gave me, but that was key to my success in life. Even though at the time I couldn't see it. When I graduated from Southwestern, I was supposed to be a marine biology student following in Charlie's footsteps, as Pat did. I took a turn. In talking to the students yesterday, I described it as instead of going to grad school, I got married. And then I had to kind of back off from that and give a little context. My wife and I were dating pretty much the whole time I was at Southwestern. She didn't talk me out of grad school. I can't remember how it all happened, but here we are. You can't always see at this point. This is what I would say to the students. You can't see how your life is going to unfold, but have faith and have confidence in the start that you're getting. Have faith in the learning that you're doing, the decisions it will let you make, and be open to the possibilities. So, with that, I will end and hope that my wife will stop recording. Again, I'm honored. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. And we'll never tell that you teared up. It's okay. We all choke up at different times, and it catches all of us off guard. In closing, I would like to thank everyone for your attendance, your attention, and your participation tonight. It has been an absolute pleasure to spend the evening celebrating the outstanding achievements of our selected alumni with you. I would also personally like to say thank you to the inductees for your dedication and your hard work that you've put into your career. That commitment is the Builder way. And it resulted in your being honored here tonight. Thank you for being an inspiration to our current and future students. You may not be aware of the silent witness that you bear to our students, of all the possibilities that exist for them out there. But bear witness you do, and I appreciate your assistance in this task. Congratulations to our 2021 Hall of Fame inductees.